Hello viewers, well I'm back again now and doing a more detailed look at the McLaren MP4 12C. I was privileged enough to be invited to McLaren last year to see that launch in process, and I thought I'd share some of it with you today. First, just walking up to the presentation. So we've seen the McLarens there having a good nose around. Of course then Ron Dennis along with the other management of McLaren came up to explain a bit about the team and the automotive car company, the plans of what they're trying to build. But here's a couple of stats from Ron on the success of McLaren in Formula One over the years.
One cars with iconic names on their cockpits: Fittipaldi, Hunt, Lauda, Prost, Senna, Hamilton. Since 1966, when McLaren first entered Grand Prix racing, we have won 25% of all Grand Prix, and at least one of our drivers has been on the podium in no less than 53% of all of the Grand Prix in which we have competed.
So that's an introduction to McLaren. Let's crack on with test drive now and check out the MP4 12C in action. Okay, so now we're back in the showroom, and the next car to look at will be the McLaren MP4 12C. So let's have a closer look at this now. Looking nice and shiny. Let's go for a test drive. I'll have a look at some other data shortly as well. Again, it's night time, typical. Let's change view. I'll be giving a bit more time to this car, just get a feel for it. Again, I'm not at all happy with this moving head view. It makes the car feel like it's moving under you. Seems to be a nice long straight road. So let's turn around now. Some speed. Super fast car. Of course I was at the launch and you'll be seeing some clips of that hopefully. Whoa! Okay, don't go over a jump that fast. Oh, where am I? I thought it would plant me back on the road, but it leaves me in a bush. Now, one of the key things about this car, I was pointing out, was the way it's made under a 400-ton press for the whole sort of body of the car is just one piece of carbon fibre, which means it's very light in power to weight ratio. I'm trying to get the speed up, but the road just wasn't straight enough there. Okay, a more sensible test drive now. Turn around now. Get a run up. Because I like to go fast. See if it handles. Power. Here we go. Let's see if we can take this jump flat this time. Second go. Boom. Alright. Maybe not. One more try at some speed. We've got 40 seconds left on this test drive. Clearly the test drives aren't necessarily times to go too sensibly. You can get a feel if you like, have a nice clean drive. Coming up to a bend in the road and I've got traffic. Took him out. Now you see, ordinarily when you're watching you're saying, well, why don't you take avoiding action, but when you're going that fast on a high speed corner there's very little you can do, so you might as well just take it on the chin. And that's the end of that test drive. Okay, that was a bit of a hairy time there. I had a few tumbles. It doesn't end there, but I thought, you know, why don't we look a bit more at McLaren as well from my launch video last year. Let's look at some of the details of the car and some of its revolutionary design aspects.
And it's the lightest car in its segment and amongst the safest and best equipped. So where did we start to achieve this goal? We started at the most important component for a high-performance sports car, the driver. And we put the driver in a revolutionary carbon chassis, what we call the monocell, which brings unprecedented advantages for performance, strength, weight savings, and packaging within the 12C segment. It was natural, after all, that we would make the 12C with a carbon chassis. After all, in McLaren, we've never made a road car out of metal, and we haven't made a race car out of metal for 30 years. The monocell is made of carbon fiber in a single mold, in a single component, and it's immensely strong and light. It weighs less than 80 kilograms and is over 25% stiffer and more rigid than some of the best metal structures. No other car anywhere close to its price segment uses a carbon structure, and no car at all has ever used a process like we use to make the monocell for the 12C. We've put 5 years of intensive research and combined all of our experience with the F1, the SLR McLaren, and indeed our Grand Prix cars into developing this brand new concept. The monocell is made using a pioneering resin transfer molding process and has a cycle time of just 4 hours. The tool you see on the screen is a 40-ton steel mold which is entering a 400-ton press. This is the actual tool we're using to make the cars that you've seen on the prototype line this morning. The carbon is loaded into the tool, put under pressure, the resin is injected, and the part is left to cure for 2 hours under pressure. The finished monocell comes out of the mold in one single piece, and it has hollow rockers and a hollow scuttle beam before being finished on a computer-controlled milling machine.
Stuff there with the press and the way it's all built, and of course now you can take a closer look at the sort of the skeleton of the car, if you like.
It's unlike any other car that has ever been designed and made. Let's show you what that looks like. So, this is the structure that goes underneath the skin of the 12C. And if it looks conceptually very similar to the Formula One cars you see in the workshop right next to you, that's no coincidence, because the basic concept comes from Formula One principles. It starts with the driver, and the driver sits in a rigid carbon fiber safety cell, our monocell. In this particular case, it's been dimensioned to accommodate 98th percentile driver and passenger in a perfect driving position. The steering wheel, the pedals are perfectly on the center line of the driver. And one of the advantages of carbon fiber is that we've been able to actually mold the shape of the carbon fiber tub around the driver and the passenger to make it as space efficient as possible and thus make the structure as compact and light as it can be. This safety cell provides a rigid container in which the driver and passenger are kept safe.
That's all good stuff. Let's get back to some driving and a bit more crashing too. So we'll have another go in a minute, just because I thought I'd devote a little bit of extra time to this, so we're having a whole video sort of devoted to it. It is unique for McLaren to move into the automotive market. Another competitor for Ferrari in the future. We can see some details there. Oh. Let's get into the car. Can we look around? Look around the interior. The D-pad isn't functional here, so we can't do too much else. That's one of the reasons why we've not been able to look at the radio, or hear the radio, sorry, during these these runs is because at the moment it seems that the D-pad isn't configured with the G25. With one more test drive now, more of a sensible drive, shall we? More of a sensible drive. I'll try. I just want to go fast. What's this road like here? Let's take a look. I want to go fast. Okay, this will be the sensible drive. The sensible drive. Just can't help myself. My foot just seems to get stuck down. I just need to go really fast. Oh, that head movement is awful. Oh, it's awful. Awful head movement there. Gotta try and figure that out. Here we go then. Let's get a bit of speed. I'll get some good speed now. And that's the end of that test drive. It may have been a bit rough and tumble at times, but the car certainly got some speed and was a lot of fun to drive. Back to the launch itself, of course, then Ron comes out. Again, another little introduction to Jensen and Lewis, who then unveil the car.
Well, I hope we've given you plenty to look at and plenty to write about. Let me summarise today. It isn't only about the 12C. No, it's about developing a whole new car company. In fact, a new type of car company that will deliver technologically advanced products that are highly efficient and will support customer demands in the 21st century. McLaren Automotive will provide highly skilled jobs and will bring a new focus and high-tech manufacturing and engineering in the UK. Today, we've added a truly exciting new car brand to the world, McLaren Automotive. I think it's good news for McLaren. I believe it's good news for UK PLC. And now I'll ask Lewis and Jensen to give what is for many of you the first sight of a complete 12C. It is a traditional launch prototype colour of orange. If you go back in history, this was how we always launched our cars. But of course there's an incredible range of colours, and this is merely one of them. Thank you. Guys. Please, unveil the car.
I've left you also after that with a little speech from Martin Whitmarsh, his thoughts of the team for last year, but also the simulator they use at McLaren for developing their cars and bits and pieces.
The race for each World Championship is visible every other weekend at the racetrack, but in reality it's a continuous competition as the teams seek to develop and improve the competitiveness of their car between every event. Just over a year ago, we started the 2009 season with a car which was frankly over 2.5 seconds off the pace, and we secured only 14 points in the first 9 races. Our team urgently focused on the development of that car and subsequently produced a front-running car, winning races and scoring more points in the second half of the season than the championship winner. The competition, of course, did not stand still for us, and our recovery to 3rd place in the Constructors' Championship demonstrated the ability of the team to respond to the challenge of improving the car in a short time frame, and that was all the time whilst no track testing was allowed. So Formula One is about this performance race, and simulation is a vital component in the intensive development battle. Over the last 15 years, we have continuously invested in the world's most advanced motorsport simulator facility, acknowledged within Formula One as the best available. This tool has been used to develop 12C. Before we built the first prototype, we modelled the desired dynamic performance of the car and set targets for suspension geometry, spring damper settings, steering, engine characteristics, downforce, weight distribution, and many other parameters. The simulation allowed us to see the numeric results, whilst the simulator allowed us to test and fill them in a virtual environment. So the specification of the car was gradually developed until we settled on the ideal dynamic package. Once we had the layout of the car defined, then it was designed around that. As a result, the performance right out of the box of the first prototype was fantastic. We then used the simulation tools to further improve and develop the car. If an adjustment to the brake steer system improves the performance, we can then add it to the car at the test track almost immediately. This saves time and it saves money. This type of simulation is normal in Formula One, but is unheard of in road car development. As you can see today, McLaren Racing and McLaren Automotive are just 50 metres apart within the McLaren Technology Centre. This allows significant sharing of resources, including simulation tools that have been mentioned, as well as rapid prototyping and other technical facilities. There is significant transfer of people between McLaren Racing and McLaren Automotive. Examples are Dick Glover, who was the head of simulation in racing for many years, is now the technical director of automotive. Simon Lacey was the head of aerodynamics in racing. He is now head of vehicle technology in automotive. Richard Hopkirk from race engineering, now leading advanced drivetrain applications in automotive. These people not only carry with them knowledge and relationship with people within racing, but they also bring an approach which teaches engineers to work with high intensity, with fastidious attention to detail, and a mindset focused on rapid problem resolution. This often causes them to think way out of the box. And this injection of Formula One culture and process makes the development approach of the 12C uniquely different, and it's contributed to making the 12C such an impressive car.
That was all pretty interesting. I hope you found that pretty informative as well, especially for McLaren fans out there. I went off and had a little nose around. One thing in particular that caught my eye was the trophy cabinets. Have a quick look at this. So that is my McLaren day out, and that is the McLaren MP4 12C in Test Drive Unlimited 2. I hope you've enjoyed this little video, this little insight into the world of McLaren as well, and there'll be loads more to follow.